Motion to proclaim Klamath County's support for rights as guaranteed by the Constitution and supported specifically by the Fourth Amendment in Klamath County. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Maybe a discussion. Many of us take some of our rights for granted, and until someone, especially our government, seems to step in and infringe upon our rights, everybody sits by and lets them do it. This is one of those issues I think we, as a local government, I think, and as citizens, we need to step up and say, no, this is not correct. This is something that we need to stand up and say we don't agree with it. I don't agree with it personally, politically, and personally both. So I think our Fourth Amendment is very sacred and should be held very closely, as our founding fathers did. They experienced a lot of those things that were dealt with in the Fourth Amendment, and this really infringes upon those rights as citizens, and I feel very strongly against that direction.
And I will read, whereas Klamath County is not a, quote, battlefield or subject to, quote, the laws of war. And whereas Federal Judge Catherine Forrest has ruled Section 1021 of the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act is actually unconstitutional, and whereas the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that neither Congress nor the President can constitutionally authorize the detention and/or disposition of any person within the United States or any citizen of the United States, quote, under the law of war, quote, who is not serving in, quote, the land, naval forces, or in the militia when in actual service of time of war or public danger, close quote. That is referenced specifically in Ex parte Milligan 71 of the U.S. Code. It is unlawful for any person to arrest or capture any person in Klamath County or any citizen of Klamath County within the United States with the intent of detention under the law of war, or any person actually subject to Klamath County under the disposition of the law of war, or subject any person or target, or any person or targeted killing in Klamath County or citizens of Klamath County within the United States. And be it further proclaimed that Klamath County requests the state legislature to recognize the duty of the state of Oregon to interpose itself between the unconstitutional usurpations of the federal government or its agents and the people of this state, as well as to defend the inalienable rights of all the people, which is consistent with our oaths to defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Oregon against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So after reading that, any other questions?
Another comment. I think we've seen just a continual short steps towards encroachment upon our rights as citizens, and this is just another example of that from our federal government. We're just a county government. What can we do? Well, we can proclaim this as our position, and we aren't the only local government that's doing this. This is being done all over the nation, and I think this needs to gather steam. I think our federal government and our state government needs to be kept in check. That's what our founding fathers put that Fourth Amendment out there for, is to keep them in check to an extent, and this NDAA wasn't necessarily all a bad piece of legislation. It's normally does funding of the military and things like that, but they slip in little things like this that a lot of citizens just don't. Who's going to read a lot of this legislation? Well, unfortunately, we have other people in the nation that really keep up on this and really raise a red flag. And I think this is something that we need to help carry that red flag and get it put back in check. And the thought of, I asked rather jokingly this morning if Kingsley Field had a brig. Will that be where we will be housing people that, as it says, I think any person who has committed a belligerent act, undefined belligerent act? Well, I think the recent reclassification of many citizens as combatants and so forth, really, we all classify as that almost. If you belong to the Tea Party, if you have a concealed carry permit, if you have a weapon, if you've raised your voice any place, I think you're considered a combatant and is probably looking at possibly be considered as creating a belligerent act of some sort. That's all they need under this wording. And logic says, oh, they would never do that. How many times have we heard that before? So I think we need to state our opinion and gather with those others around the nation that are doing the same thing.
Very good. Tom's point is well taken. The words are not defined, and quite frankly, Tom, I find your conversation this morning quite belligerent.
Oh, good. Tell Frank to come and get me. Oh, Frank's being belligerent in Salem right now, so he can't do that. Yeah, I wanted to quote just a couple of other sentences, and I think you touched on them in the proclamation, or we touched on there a little bit. Just a couple of sections out of, or parts out of Section 1021. Detention under the law of war without trial until the end of hostilities. These are just general provisions in here about what to do with belligerent citizens, I guess you might say. Transfer for trial by an alternative court or competent tribunal having lawful jurisdiction. Transfer to the custody or control of the person's country of origin or other foreign country or any other foreign entity. And then the last one I'm going to quote here is kind of a contradictory statement, I thought. It says, nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing law. I think everything in here goes against existing law. So I think that's a very contradictory statement that they have in this section 1021. So I find it very offensive personally and as a citizen that our government is trying to, I will call it, slip through things like this that unfortunately oftentimes do get put under the radar, so to speak, that the citizens just don't realize they're doing. So we're acting as best we can against this.
Just for the record, neither of these gentlemen read the Fourth Amendment. I'll read it just so you have context. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So in terms of your person, your house, your papers, and effects, I think that probably even covers electronic data that is attached in your emails and being transmitted back and forth as you look for a potato cooker at Walmart online. So any other comments? No other comments. We will... I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of supporting this proclamation, please signify by saying aye.
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 The chair votes aye, and the motion passes. The proclamation passes.